Good evening, everyone. I am Nisha Singh, a first year student of Law Center 1, Delhi University. My topic of discussion is Rights of Women while dealing with police. So, my first slide talks about why we need to understand these these rights. There is no doubt that we are in the midst of a great revolution in the history of women. The evidence is everywhere. The voice of women is increasingly heard in parliament, in the courts, and even in the streets. But unfortunately, women in this country are still mostly unaware of their rights because of illiteracy and oppressive trends. The male dominance is still rooted to the core in the society, and the suppression is still now a very common part of women's life. Focusing about gender inequality, I would like to quote a report which I came across recently that only about 7.28% of Indian police force is women. And upon it, a very handful of women in India are there who actually are aware of their rights. So we can very well predict what problems they might be facing while dealing with the police. Therefore, these rights become very much important to protect themselves from the additional barbarism thrown by the police. Moving forward, as we know, law always strives to make a balance between rights of the accused and the rights of the victims. So accordingly, these rights can also be categorized into two parts, like when the woman is an accused and when the woman is a victim. So starting with the rights related to women when she is a victim. So first right talks about the right to not being called to police station. Women can't be called to a police station for interrogation purpose according to section 160 subsection 1 of Criminal Procedure Code. If required, police officer himself can go to her house and as far as possible along with a women officer for any such inquiry. The woman can keep a lawyer with her during the entire interrogation. Next is rights in cases of search. Section 51C, 51 subsection 2 of CRPC directs that a woman shall be searched by another woman only and such search shall be with with strict regard to decency. When the woman is not with any male member, she cannot be asked to get down of a vehicle unless a female officer is present. Next is rights in cases of arrest. A woman can't be arrested without warrant unless she is suspected under cognizable offense. Second, she has the right to know the cause of her arrest. Third, according to NHRC guidelines, women officers should be associated where women are being arrested. Fourth, as we might all be knowing that according to Supreme Court's guidelines, a woman can only be arrested between 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. unless necessary. And in any such emergency situation, a prior special permission of magistrate is needed for her arrest after sunset. A female can be arrested by a female police officer only. A male officer cannot touch her during making the arrest. Upon arrest, she has the right to inform her relatives, and the police should inform her about the provisions of bail. In case of bailable offenses, she can get the bail in the police station itself. Next is rights after getting arrested or detained. The recent news of custodial deaths is just an example to show that how sometimes police can go far beyond their limits. So knowing these rights regarding arrest or detention is very much crucial to everyone, irrespective of their gender. Talking about the rights regarding women with respect to getting arrested or detained is first, women shall be detained separately from male detainees. Arrested or detained women shall not suffer discrimination and shall be protected from all forms of violence or exploitation. If a woman is in custody, then a lady constable needs to be there in the police station 24/7. A woman has a right to remain silent during her custody. Pregnant women and nursing mothers shall be provided with special facilities in detention. A woman or a children is entitled to free legal aid, that is, a lawyer free of cost if they can't afford one, and it is the duty of the police to make them aware about their rights during such interrogation process. Now coming to the rights when the woman is a victim. In the Indian society, the victim blaming is not a very new concept to us. So these rights become very much important for those women who want to stand strong without any backing of the society and don't want the offenders to let go without any punishment. So starting with the rights, the first right is right to file zero FIR. Zero FIR comes into play when the victim is far away from the place of her residence when the incident took place and goes to any nearest police station to report that incident. It is the duty of the police officer to lodge a FIR if a victim has turned up, regardless of the area of jurisdiction. The respective police station takes in the FIR and marks it as a zero FIR by giving it a serial number 0 and immediately transfers the document over to the concerned jurisdiction. Next is right to be heard by the police. Many a times we witness a situation when the police is not writing the complaint. Then in that case, she can go to the higher officers and bring the complaint to their notice. She can make such complaint in writing or via post. If such officers are satisfied with the complaint, they shall order the registration of FIR. Alternatively, she can file a complaint to the District Public Safety and Police Complaint Authority of her district as well. And if any of the above options do not work, then she can directly move to the court under section 156 subsection 3 of CRPC. Next is right to untimely registration of FIR. This right basically concerns the victim of assault or molestation who was traumatized at that time, and because of that, she was not able to file the complaint on time. So the police officer cannot refuse to register an FIR even if a considerable period of time has elapsed since the incident of rape or molestation has taken place. Whenever the victim is in comfortable state of mind, she can go for filing an FIR, filing of FIR. Next is right to file virtual complaint. Women generally try to avoid police either because of fear or the social stigma. So if for any of some reasons a woman cannot go to police station, she can send a written complaint through an email or registered post to a senior police officer like Deputy Commissioner or Commissioner of Police. The officer then directs the SHO of the police station of the area where the incident occurred to conduct proper verification of the complainant and lodge an FIR. The police can then come over to the residence of the victim to take her statement. Next is right to privacy. Section 164 of CRPC provides that a rape victim can record her statement before magistrate when the case is under trial and no one else needs to be present. Alternatively, she can record the statement with only one police officer and woman constable in a convenient place of her choice that is not crowded and does not provide any possibility of the statement being overheard by a fourth person. The cops have to, by law, upkeep the women's right to privacy. Next is right to confidentiality. Section 228A of Indian Penal Code makes the disclosure of a victim's identity a punishable offense, especially in the sensitive cases. Under no circumstances the identity of a rape victim be revealed. Next is right during the medical examination of any offense. Section 164A of CRPC provides for medical examination of a rape victim. She is entitled to approach a doctor for medical examination even without filing an FIR. She has the right to get a copy of her medical report. Doctor's verdict on whether rape has happened will not be the final piece of evidence. This is a final legal conclusion and doctor cannot decide on that. Last but not the least, right to legal aid. Section 12 subsection C of the Legal Services Authority Act 1987 and the constitutional provision Article 39A provides the right to free legal aid to a woman. She can go for lodging the FIR without any lawyer also, and the police needs to inform her of a right if necessary. So I just want to conclude by saying that all these rights, constitutional or legislative provisions, are of no use if the awareness about them is lacking. It is true that the central and the state government and some institutions at the ground level are working and taking various measures for safeguarding the interest of women. We cannot, however, say that the intended purpose is fulfilled. Women are still ignorant towards their rights and only become aware when they actually face any such situation. There's still a long way to go, and being a responsible citizen, it should be the duty of every individual to help each other knowing the rights and obligations. That's all. Thank you.